This video was brought to you by Stormberg, a route planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil. Man, today I've been so busy. I've been running into people all the time. People come to me, and also there is something we're going to talk about now, which is wireless charging. So I've been in touch with, actually it was Fortum back then, it's now Recharge, about this. It's called momentum dynamics, wireless charging. And I have John here from Momentum Dynamics.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. And we're going to talk a little bit about wireless charging today, but the juicy stuff will happen later. I'm not sure when I have time for it, but there is actually something already working in Oslo. And because you can see in the picture here, you recognize this. This is in Oslo. An I-Pace can now wirelessly charge at around 50 kilowatts. So where do we start? Okay, let's start with my phone here. You see, I have wireless charging here, but traditionally, wireless charging has been slow and inefficient because when I charge this phone, it becomes hot for some reason. And we just happen to sit in front of the NIO place, and you see behind us here we have NIO, and NIO has battery swap. And again, people in general are skeptic to battery swap. And again, people in general are skeptic to wireless charging. So you are here to convince me.
I'll convince you.
What is the deal with wireless charging?
So, thank you. So firstly, we can charge any electric vehicle through wireless charging, through magnetic resonance inductive charging. It's highly efficient. We are more efficient grid to vehicle than any other cable-based charger based at this show today. Surprisingly, the air gap is not a source of loss. Again, 150-year-old physics about wireless power transfer. Momentum Dynamics actually have an incredible chief technology officer, and in the background, they develop the power systems within the International Space Station. So we've got some of the smartest minds, and we've created, again, the world's first highly efficient system of charging electric vehicles. And like you say, with the I-Pace, we're charging the I-Pace, roll-on, authentication, charging triggered within 3 seconds at 52 kilowatts. If it was an 800-volt vehicle, we could charge it at 75 kilowatts. And they're in modular pads, so we can then multiply modular structures. We can charge at 75, 150, 300 kilowatts to then charge vans, buses, Class 8 trucks.
Well, I have so many questions. Let me see. So you can charge it quite fast, and you also mentioned high efficiency. Let's start with the efficiency part. In a traditional cable charging system, well, you have losses in the cable that you don't have here. At least you don't need to have water-cooled cables and all that. But also, it's different here because you have the charger that still needs to be there. But on a conventional charger, you have to have a rectifier to make DC. The DC goes via the cable, but here you have AC going.
So what we're doing, so the magnetic field is created with an AC current. The alternating current creates the magnetic field, and then on the vehicle's receiver pad, we have the rectifier to convert back to DC, powering the vehicle, and it just plugs into the normal vehicle battery charging control module, so the vehicle doesn't know it's charging in any other way.
Well, you see, this is why my brain is about to explode. You have something that converts 50 kilowatts on the car. Isn't that equipment humongous and heavy?
No, not really. In fact, it's actually becoming much thinner, lighter, as we develop new versions of the technology as it's evolving. But again, we can now mount it on a passenger car. At the moment in Oslo, it's for a passenger. It's a taxi market, so high utilization taxi fleets charging, but it's mounted underneath the car. And again, in the future, it's becoming smaller, lighter, and it will eventually become a private retail solution for customers. Today it works with high utilization fleet operators, that's where they can get an efficiency. Remember, any electric vehicle will run out of charge and it will take a commercial vehicle out of service. We can keep those vehicles running all day long. If a taxi can charge every time it parks in a taxi rank, the vehicle's operational. Taxi drivers hate stopping for 3 hours to plug and charge. They're losing customers. We can keep their car running all day.
Okay, but so how heavy is that equipment in the I-Pace, that receiver pad thing?
I want to answer it like this. I'm going to kind of avoid your question where we've got some secrets. However, one of the reasons why I really love working for Momentum Dynamics, however heavy that pad is, and it's not that heavy, we can remove 6 times as much battery material from the car. So ultimately, you don't need to carry a 300-mile range car with a 700 kilo battery. I could take half of that material out and I can still keep an electric vehicle running all day long. So the car ultimately becomes lighter, and I'm replacing what will become highly expensive battery material with inductive charge pad. So the vision we're getting to is much smaller, significantly lighter batteries. You don't need to carry the range with you. Rather than guzzling your energy, you just graze the energy, you consume it as you go about your day. So I want to answer, I'm going to duck your question a little bit, but the ambition is, let's remove battery material. We can't afford as a world to put 700 kilos of battery in every car. That doesn't work. It won't work.
All right, but that will work if we have enough of these charging spots then.
Yes.
Yeah, and the problem is that, well, if you want to charge, then, well, how was you mentioned it takes 3 seconds, was it?
Yeah. So what happens? The vehicle rolls over the top of the pad. There's a wireless authentication, secure authentication. The car is confirmed it has an account.
Sorry to interrupt. The communication, does it go via a separate wireless channel? Or?
So that's where many of our company's patents exist, in the communication through that magnetic field within the same charging infrastructure. It happens wirelessly.
You do communication via the charging pad?
Yes.
The heck?
I know.
What the heck?
So communication with the vehicle through the charging pad. The vehicle's authenticated.
Handshake and all that.
Handshake is confirmed. The vehicle has an account, and then microdose billing starts. So charging begins within seconds. The car can drive away whenever they like, and the customer then gets a month-end account, an itemized bill of every time they've charged. It might be from 10 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. They can charge for as long as they want, and you just get a month-end itemized bill for all your... So actually, what we proved here in Oslo was this microdose billing. Again, all from the warmth, comfort, safety of a locked car. You just charge from the driving seat.
Yeah, so actually, in a perfect world, we would have these charging pads on stop lights.
I love that you said that.
Right? Because
yes.
you stop there for 30 seconds, 1 minute, and you get a micro charge there.
You would add 10 miles of range.
Yeah, and you can just keep doing that, and you will never have to plug it in, almost.
Can you be our new marketeer? Because you're right. If the more we invest, if we can invest in this equipment, the more vehicles we can keep charging. So to be honest, what Momentum Dynamics today, where we are with our equipment in our development cycle, we can offer huge benefits to bus fleet operators. So again, an electric bus might be between €500,000 and €1 million for an electric bus. And bus operators are having to buy 2 buses because you set off in the morning and by 1 o'clock your bus is dead and you have to park it up and charge it, and you need a second bus to continue the route. What we can do is analyze the route, optimize based on the length of the route and the bus stops, where would we have top-up opportunistic charging, and we can keep a bus operating all day long. Again, the efficiencies today, the economies for the fleet operators they don't need to buy a second vehicle. Now we're finding electric taxi operators. Now I know in London taxis, they've got a really low range and the drivers are furious. They buy an electric taxi, they spend most of the time parked up charging the thing and losing business. Again, we can keep them charging and keep them running all day.
So actually with a bus, if you put these pads in a bus, you can then eliminate the, what you call it, the pantograph.
The pantograph, yeah. Yes, of course.
Is that better or is it worse?
Well, I might be biased, but our analysis shows pantograph chargers, one, their installation cost is huge.
But you have to have this thing over instead of just there, right?
So the installation equipment costs are significantly more than us. And as a chartered engineer, they have something else which I think is horrific, moving parts. Moving parts means maintenance, means wear, means lifetime costs. Our street-embedded wireless charger requires next to no servicing. It will sit there in the ground for 15 years, impervious to everything, and will charge through water, ice, rain, snow, mud, squirrels and cats.
Well, so if I put my hand in there, is anything going to happen?
No, so the magnetic field doesn't interfere with biological material in any way, shape or form. We have foreign object detection to control if anything does get in the way.
So for example, if I put my phone...
So a metal object would be a problem, but we have metal object detection and we would kill the feed.
What, will it fry the phone before
If we didn't turn off our charger, yes, it would heat up the phone.
Oh, okay, but will it ruin the phone before it turns off?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want to do that.
So don't do that. So yeah, but we would detect any metal object detection, we would detect, and then we kill the magnetic field to protect from it. So we're constantly monitoring that magnetic field. Any interruption whatsoever, we obviously protect from the field.
Well, okay. Yeah. By the way, okay. So if your hand, what about if your hand has a clock and a ring?
Anything metal will heat. Anything metal will cause a problem. It would be detected.
Okay.
So if it disrupts the magnetic field, we can detect that the field is disrupted, and again we would shut off. So yeah, if you put my hand and watch, yes, we would detect it and we would stop the feed.
But I still don't understand like I initially said, there is a lot of skepticism around wireless charging, just like battery swap behind us here. Why are the other systems so inefficient and slow? Because I heard that it was only 7 kilowatt and the efficiency was really shit.
There are a lot of other very bad inductive charge systems on the market. Some very low power systems on the market and some very inefficient charging systems on the market. What Momentum Dynamics have done, based out of Pennsylvania, with a lot of very clever, mostly ex-NASA, ex-defense, ex-telecom industry, they have built this system which is groundbreaking in its overall efficiency. In fact, some of our colleagues here, when they first tested it, they were staggered. We even have experts in high-power wireless charging who are staggered by what's been achieved by this latest development. It's completely groundbreaking. And again, we wanted to come to the Nordic EV Summit today to dispel some myths, to say efficient, high-power, wireless, inductive charging, it's here, it's working, and we can keep these vehicles running all day. And longer term, it's removing battery capacity from cars, which will change the world.
So okay, I wonder, when you talk about efficiency, that induction plate, right, in the ground, does it heat up? Does it need cooling?
We do have cooling loops. So from our power, so we have a minor cooling loop. The air gap means it's naturally air cooled from the surface as well. We do have cooling loop built in if there is any cooling required. Mostly, we're not experiencing any heat, so there's not a heat problem between the vehicle pad and the car.
So the pad, does it heat up while transferring 50 kilowatts on the ground?
Not noticeably. Again, it's a controlled. Again, to get the levels of efficiency that we're achieving, we've optimized that system. Heat would be a source of loss. So the system that we've got is to eliminate those sources of losses. So heat would be a problem, and we've worked to eliminate that heat as much as possible. That would be a source of loss.
Well, is it enough to melt snow and ice? Is it that much?
We don't need to melt it. The magnetic field penetrates it. It's unaffected by it.
But it heats up when in use, right?
It would, yes, it would heat enough to melt ice. So there would be some residual heating there. Yes.
And the same happens on the receiver part, in the iPad in this section.
And again, that receiver pad has a built-in cooling loop as well, again, to make sure there is no heat problem within the car as well. So yes, it's again, heat is removed as an issue from the overall system. But I say, the overall system efficiency that we're seeing is equal to or better than any contact cable chargers that we're seeing.
Yeah, because I can imagine there is some losses when transforming AC to DC that needs to be done traditionally, but that happens actually in the car.
Yes.
And it's kind of my brain needs to so it goes AC all the way to the car, and
yeah. So
it's weird.
Yeah, so it's that magnetic field. So the magnetic field created by an alternating current. Again, that changing current creates the magnetic field, and then the rectifier puts it back into the DC supply system of the car.
And also the charging, what was it called? There needs to be a charger stack somewhere, right?
Yes.
That one, what does it do then? You just change the...
So we take grid supply AC, we convert it to a higher frequency AC to feed the magnetic field.
So how high?
I'm not the technical guy on that. From what I'm going to say, I don't want to say I'm not the technical. Okay. I'm not the engineer on this one. One of the advantages we've got, we can take those power electronics up to 100 feet away from where the vehicle is. So a lot of the cable chargers I've seen are on sidewalks, on pavements. They're in the way of pedestrians. There are cables in the road and on sidewalks. Our power electronics can be 30 meters away, even back in a building. Again,
you can heat with the building.
Yes, so we then power underneath the sidewalks and pavements, and there's nothing to trip up pedestrians. So for a city infrastructure, you can have incredibly clean environments without these cable charge boxes, without cables, without trip hazards, and without maintenance of those cables. Again, we've got no moving parts. Every engineer who watches you, every single engineer will know moving parts are a problem.
Yeah. You know, why does traditional chargers break? Well, the plug drops to the ground and it breaks. Yep. I've seen it. And then the plastic shatters, get stuck in parts of the Type 2 CCS plug, and then you can't fully insert it. There could be problems with ABB chargers had problem with the pump cooling the cables or something. So moving parts is probably one of the main reasons why traditional chargers break all the time.
What percentage of cable chargers do you see that are out of operation?
Too high.
Too high. So out in Wenatchee in the Washington State, we've had a wireless charging bus service operational now for 4 years, 100% uptime. We've maintained an electric bus fleet for 4 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we keep that bus fleet running. We've got no moving parts. So total system costs are massively reduced by the removal of needing spare parts, needing spare cables. And again, all the cables we have are buried safely under the ground.
I like that idea. And another bonus, by the way, I just thought of, is that since the pad is there, basically, I'm talking about passenger cars now, we will eliminate problems with charging cable placement, charge port placement. Okay, you guys know recently Tesla partly opened up the supercharger in Netherlands. And what happens then? e-tron plugs in, but on the wrong side, blocking another place. So I guess we will eliminate that problem in the future.
Look, I imagine a better future than the one I think I'm seeing here at the Nordic EV Summit. I'm seeing a lot of cable chargers I don't think that's a vision of the future that I sign up to. I think people will always charge at home a slow charge for a vehicle overnight, and I'm not sure we'll replace that with wireless charging. I think we'll have some premium luxury customers who want the experience of a cable-free automatic charge. But cable chargers are here. I don't want them in cities. And I think cities should move to a higher proportion of municipal transport, public transport, and taxi operations that are more efficient, and we should be removing more private cars from the city streets to have a more efficient networks within the cities. And the problem with the model where every electric vehicle in the world we turn on at 6 o'clock in the evening when we all go home creates huge capacity problems for the grid. So just at the point where we plug in our cars at 6 p.m, we turn on the ovens to cook dinner, we turn on the kettle to make a cup of tea or coffee, and the grid will suffer. If we have transport and logistics and mobility solutions charging opportunistically during the day, we can shift a lot of the demand for electricity to daytime charging. Now, I've just seen the price of electricity in Oslo during the day, okay? Now, during the day, nobody's charging, but at 6 o'clock, the price goes up.
Yeah.
Well, we can charge all day long at a lower price. And again, smoothing the grid, smoothing the demand. And again, our national grids are going to suffer. They're going to suffer really badly.
But you talk mostly about taxi and buses. But do you also see this system more commonly used in private, cars?
Yes. So, firstly, like with any new state-of-the-art technology, it begins at the luxury and premium end. Again, luxury, premium passenger car operators, if you had a choice, do you want to walk around and plug your car in?
Well, I got used to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but let me just interrupt you, sorry. There are problems also with frozen charge port,
Yep.
dirty charge plugs and all that. So cable and plugs do have issues.
do have problems. And imagine if your home charger fails. So I can see in the coming years, the start of new technology usually is at the premium luxury end of the market, where we're working with many premium luxury OEMs to incorporate wireless charging as a premium offering for those customers. Like with any technology, the system will then become cheaper, it will become lighter, it will become, again, even more efficient, and that's when it becomes a mass market opportunity. So I think to begin with, we're going to be looking at where that premium experience of automatic wireless charging is valuable to a particular customer group. This will become mainstream. And the thing is as well, it's how I want to charge my car.
Yeah.
I want to charge my car wirelessly. I don't want cables. I don't want a box charger at my house. I want a really nice clean area. And my autonomous car, after it's dropped me off, can go and park in my garage and charge itself.
Actually, that will actually solve a problem, because eventually if Tesla comes far enough, they have to do something with that snake charger thing.
Well,
you don't need it.
Again, moving parts. So,
yeah.
This is clear. Autonomous cars must charge automatically. Period. Again, anybody developing autonomous vehicles, cars, delivery vans, buses, they must be thinking automatic charging. Ultimately, for any autonomous vehicle, there's no human to plug it in, especially with an autonomous taxi, for example. So again, this solves that problem. Again, and you just have the autonomous vehicle can just drive over the pad and charge itself.
Well, okay, you know what? After talking about this, I actually feel like there is something here, okay? So, I was just thinking here, with my phone, For the longest time, I'm used to that we just plug it in. But from time to time, actually, the USB cable will break. Plus that I have to, well, it's USB-C on this phone.
Do you get dirt in the charge point in your phone?
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, and you have to clean out the plug.
Or sometimes I have sweaty or wet hands, and then it detects moisture, and then it says, can't charge. But anyway, so traditionally, if you have USB, the USB micro, you will also have to plug it in the right way. And you have to plug it in, and the cable tends to break, which is the same analogy as what could happen also with car charging cables. But I found out in a Tesla, for example, you have the wireless charging pad. You could just lay it there, and then it starts charging. And I realized it's actually very convenient, and it charges also fairly fast in a Tesla.
Yeah.
And you don't have to unplug and do this. And I guess the wireless charging pad in a Tesla, for example, or other cars, will never break because there are no moving parts. You're not unplugging and plugging it.
Don't you think, ultimately, the most convenient solution will prevail? And that's what then will be adopted, that will be a solution that works.
And another thing that many people don't think about is that, for example, for me, I have an electric toothbrush. It also works on the same technology.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it ever existed a toothbrush that where you had to plug in, because that wouldn't be safe.
Well, it's funny. The reason why electric toothbrushes went to wireless charging is because the toothbrush and the charger are completely waterproof. Now, again, whenever you have water, ice, dirt, anything that contaminate the plug, it creates a problem. Now, cars are outside. There's water and dirt and muck and everything that can get in the way. So actually, the minute you can remove those plug connector terminals from that environment, you actually have a very robust system that can survive.
So you can, if you have a James Bond car, you can charge it wirelessly under water.
Anything that has a battery that moves will charge it. I'll charge a ferry from the port through the hull of the ship.
Well, again, even on salt water. Well,
yes.
That doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yes, so we can charge through water, we can charge through the hull of a plastic electric boat. If it's got a battery, we'll charge it wirelessly. There is something else that I think is worth talking about, and I know your passion for electric cars. How long will these batteries last? Okay. Now, it concerns me. So I'm a professional chartered engineer. I care about solutions which make a responsible use of scarce and valuable materials and last and survive. I want to engineer things which last. Charging battery cells at 100, 200, 300 kilowatts damages those cells. Now there's new technology to try and protect batteries from charging at that rate, but we'll end up engineering new alloys which are then not recyclable. So we'll just lead to another problem. Now, latest evidence says if you can maintain an electric battery in a high partial state of charge, between 65 and 75%, you will extend the battery life by 8.5 times. Now, think you're now a bus fleet operator, you're a taxi fleet operator, you're a delivery van operator, you're buying a very expensive electric vehicle. How long do you want the battery to last?
20, 30 years.
20, 30 years, me too. Now, charging and again, we look at the Nordic EV Summit and we've got people saying, hey, we can charge at 300 kilowatts. I know, yes, you're damaging the battery. I know your battery will suffer as a result of human impatience and greed. Let's charge now. I'm selfish. I want to charge at 300 kilowatts. Okay? You're going to damage the battery. I think it's a selfish approach. I think that's the kind of thinking that got us into this position in the first place. So what we're doing, we're looking really carefully at, can we actually sustain a battery in a much better state of health? Can we sustain a battery for longer and actually extend its life? Now, even opportunistic charging, to maintain a battery between 65 and 75 state of health, that's going to be difficult. We can't put in that many chargers. What's realistic is keeping a battery between about 45 and 75% state of charge. And for that, we believe, and the research shows, independent research shows, we'll maintain the battery life 4.5 times versus 100% charge at night, deplete to 20% during the day.
Deep cycle,
If you
yeah.
deep cycle, you kill the battery. So deep cycle damages the battery, high power damages the battery. We're just nice and gentle. Just be nice and gentle. Let's just take care of our batteries. They're valuable materials.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. I can't wait to see this in action, and we'll see how good it is. It sounds really promising, at least for now. I'm now not too skeptic about this, but we still need to see it.
We'll get you in our car in Olaf the fifth gate soon, and you can see it. And like Roger Atkins said, it's just charging. So we'll get you excited as well.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And then we will meet again.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.